Good morning. My name is Tracy Anderton, your worship leader for this morning's service, and this is Common Ground, our celebration of worship for people of many paths who gather to share in the responsible search for meaning and truth. This is a warm and open community where all who come with open minds and kind hearts are welcome, regardless of ability, age, race, gender identity, or sexual orientation. We hope that all of you who join us today find this a safe place to worship. Now please greet the people next to you. You will have an opportunity to greet everyone during the coffee hour. When you hear the bell, please remain standing for a moment of silence, followed by our gathering song. Please pause for a moment of silence.
I thought you were going to join us. No?
Now let's join the Come As You Are choir in our gathering song, For All That Is Our Life. This is the fire of our faith. join me in reciting these words by Oberlin UU Fellowship in Oberlin, Ohio, as today's speaker, Thomas Squiers, lights our chalice flame. We light this chalice to find inner peace, love for each other, faith in ourselves. Also to be welcoming to whoever we meet and kind to all living creatures. So gather around this light of hope as we share our time together. I invite you to join me in a renewal of our sacred promises. Love is the doctrine of this church. The quest of truth is its sacrament, and service is its prayer. Dwell together in peace, to seek knowledge and freedom, to serve human need, to the end that all souls shall grow in harmony with the divine, thus through covenant with each other. Please be seated, and as you're seated, please move towards the wall to make it easier for folks still arriving to find seats. Also know you may enjoy the service remotely upstairs on large screen TV. And my voice is going out, so bear with me. December's theme is, what does it mean to be a people of awe? And the first session is the goosebumps that arise from love and action. The children will learn about Rosa Parks by reading the book Rosa by Nikki Giovanni. The youth will finish the movie The Truman Show and discuss paying attention to what is reality and what is fake. Just a second, something's wrong here. Nope. Our speaker today is our own Thomas Squiers. He is a former American Orthodox Catholic priest who came to UU while in seminary, resigning from the priesthood in 2000 after serving only 4 years. In 2010, he joined the UUA as a member of the Church of the Larger Fellowship. He discovered Pathways in 2013 when the congregation moved to its current location. Through the years, he's been part of the North Texas Small UU Congregation Speakers Bureau. Thomas has served Pathways as an Intuck Rep, webmaster, co-founder of the Mystic Path and Unity. Thomas is also a community member and is part of the Unitarian Universalist Society for Community Ministers. He is the founder of Namaste Chaplain Services, which focuses on providing chaplain services to both humanist and spiritual folk who do not belong to a faith community but require chaplain services. And now, welcome Thomas, who will read our story of all ages titled, Who Was That Samaritan?
I think we're all spitting and sputtering this morning, myself included. Let's just get it all out. On the count of 3. Who is That Samaritan by Martha Dallas of the Unitarian Universalist Association. Good morning. Thank you for allowing me to join you for a little while. I appreciate the opportunity to share this story. I tell you, sometimes I hardly believe it myself. You see, I was on a journey. I had to go from my home in Jerusalem over to Jericho. Oh, and I don't mean the Jericho near here. No, both of these cities are very far away from here. Anyway, it was a long walk, and along the way, something awful happened. I was attacked by robbers. They took everything I had and beat me up really bad. They kicked me and punched me till I fell down into a ditch by the side of the road. I think I must have passed out because Then I remember waking up all bruised and sore and bleeding. I could hardly sit up, and I had no idea what I would do or how I would carry on. I cried out for help, but this was a desolate road, and I doubted anyone would hear me. But as I was lying there, I heard footsteps and saw a priest coming toward me. I felt hopeful because priests are good people. But this man walked right on by as if I had not even been there at all. And then more hope. A man, a temple priest, I could tell, came up the road. My people, the Hebrews, are friends with the temple priests, so I tried to call out to him and lift hands toward him, but he quickened his step and walked right by without even glancing my way. Now you are probably appalled already, but I haven't even gotten to the most unbelievable part of the story. There I lay, all hope lost, at this point fading in and out of consciousness, when I felt a warm, gentle hand on my brow. It was a gently wiping at the dust and blood on my face. I opened my eyes to see, oh, I can barely say it, a Samaritan. Can you believe it? A Samaritan. My people, we hate the Samaritans. We can't stand them. And here was one of them helping me. I know, unbelievable, but let me tell you more. This Samaritan tore off part of his shirt to bandage my wounds. He cleaned my wounds with oil and gave me water to drink. I was shocked and stunned by how kind and caring he was. Then he lifted me onto his donkey and carried me into an inn where he kept me and cared for me truly until I was healed. Well, that is my story, and I wouldn't believe it myself unless it had happened to me. Samaritans, who'd have thunk it? Anyhow, thank you for your time.
Our call to worship is by William F. Schultz. Come into this place of peace and let its silence heal your spirit. Come into this place of memory and let its history warm your soul. Come into this place of prophecy and power and let its vision change your heart. Now, once again, please stand in body or spirit and join the Come As You Are choir in our worship song, Come, Come, Whoever You Are.
And I have to explain it. It's a round. Yay! But we've sung it before.
Yeah, just a second. My page got turned too early. At this time, children are invited to take part in religious education. Let's send them out with these words. We pass this flame of religious freedom from generation to generation. Now we'll try the song.
Okay, so we're going to sing it 4 times all the way through. But the first time, all of us together. And then we start the second time. Our powerful crew in the back will be group number 2. And Martha and I will come back and sing with you. So we'll say, start row back. You're reading group number 2. I'll come back with you. And you see where it has a number 2? Wanderer. We're going to start with that. So we'll all do it together once, and then they'll go the second time, and then when it gets to Wanderer, we'll come in, and we'll sing it 3 more times. And then at the very end, because on the music they do it a lot in more groups, we'll sing Come, Yet Again, Come until they stop. Oh, yeah, there's no intro either. Bam, we start.
She picked first, so we get to sing first. Number 2 starts.
Right. Oh, yeah, we just start singing it when the first group gets to Wanderer. Yes, I'll be back there with you, no worries.
It works great.
All right.
And now Thomas Squire will deliver today's Common Ground service.
Our reading this morning is taken from Thomas Merton. Thomas Merton, as some of you know, was both a Catholic monk as well as a Zen Buddhist, and one of my personal heroes. Genuine ecumenism requires the communication and sharing not only of information about doctrines which are totally and irrevocably divergent, but also of religious intuitions and truths which may turn out to have something in common beneath surface differences. Ecumenism seeks the inner and ultimate spiritual ground which underlies all articulated differences. A genuinely fruitful dialogue cannot be content with a polite diplomatic interest in other religions and their beliefs. It seeks a deeper level, on which religious traditions have always claimed to bear witness to a higher and more personal knowledge of God or the divine than that which is contained simply in exterior worship and formulated doctrine. In all religions we encounter not only the claim to divine revelation in some form or another, but also the record of special experiences in which the absolute and final validity of that revelation is in some way attested. Furthermore, in all religions, it is more or less generally recognized that this profound sapiential experience, call it gnosis, contemplation, mysticism, prophecy, or what you will, represents the deepest and most authentic fruit of religion itself. All religions then seek a summit of holiness, of experience, of inner transformation to which their believers, or an elite of believers, aspire because they hope, so to speak, to incarnate in their own lives the highest values in which they believe. To put it grossly oversimplified language, all religions aspire to a union with some form of divinity in some way or other. And in each case, this union is described in terms which have very definite analogies with the contemplative and mystical experiences in the Christian and particularly the Catholic tradition. And that was written in the late 60s prior to Thomas Merton's death. So this morning, my talk is on the UU Jesus, but I wanted just to deviate for a brief moment and just talk about this being December and then this month's theme being awe. And talk just shortly about the Christmas season that is almost upon us. I was actually quite pleased that I walked in and saw a Christmas tree and some garland and some flowers. That's not something that I expected to see this morning. So I was very pleased at that. So either our children or our art collaborative or both were involved in that. So thank you, Ellen. Okay, so thank you very much for that. So I just wanted to say that, you know, sometimes UUs think that we can't celebrate Christmas. I grew up celebrating Christmas. It's part of my childhood. It's part of who I am, and it is part of my roots. Even though I no longer identify primarily as Christian, it is something that is part of me. And what I wanted to say was, for those of you who feel like you can't because it's not part of your spiritual path, you might identify as humanist or Buddhist or whatever. But I think what I gravitate toward is really the Americana, the legends and the stories. I love the stories of Santa and the elves. I love the We've been decorating. We turn on Pandora. We've got the Christmas channel playing. There's Bing Crosby in our living room. And I love all of that. And so I think that it can, if you really want to do that, I'm sure there's many of you who say, no, I don't celebrate that, but you love looking at the lights. You really do get kind of caught up in the spirit of it. And I think there's nothing wrong with that. So I think especially here in America, while it may have some, it may belong to a particular religious sect, there's nothing wrong with giving yourself permission if you also want to celebrate Christmas in your own unique way. You can call it Yule, you can call it Holiday Bash, you can call it Christmas, whatever. But I just think the most important thing is just to enjoy it and enjoy it in your own way. So just wanted to say that. I would say in the last 20 or 30 years, it seems, many UU congregations have probably not taught as often enough, especially where its new members are concerned, about our history of Unitarian Universalism, where we come from, and that we were originally two Christian denominations, the Unitarians and the Universalists. We merged into one organization in the 1960s. And today we're known as the Unitarian Universalist Association. In many ways, the UUA has become, over the years, a safe haven for people of all paths, whether they be Jews, Christians, humanists, Buddhists, pagans, etc. But I think it is very important to know, understand, and celebrate our roots, even if it is not what each individual believes. To dismiss the past in many ways invites a dismissal for our present and our future. We are, after all, Unitarian Universalists, a people of faith that encompasses all paths of belief. So for the purpose of today's talk, I would like to speak briefly on the Unitarian Universalist view of Christianity, and would like to introduce to you the Unitarian Universalist Jesus. Historically, Unitarians and Universalists alike did not espouse a Jesus that was divine or did magic tricks. Simply put, it is still true today, there has always been an emphasis on the human Jesus, his words, his teachings, and how such relates to each of us in the world we live in today. Where some in Christendom may interpret the acts of Jesus as divine, many, including UUs, see these acts as metaphorical. William Ellery Channing, probably one of the most prominent Unitarian clergy and voices of the 19th century, said, "When I compare the clamorous preaching and passionate declamation, too common in the Christian world, with the composed dignity, the deliberate wisdom, the freedom from all extravagances which characterize Jesus, I can imagine no greater contrast, and I am sure that the fiery zealot is no representative of Christianity." That was written in the 19th century. Sound common compared to today? Channing was helping to set apart Unitarianism from the rest of the Christian world by identifying that the knowledge of the human Jesus was greater than that proclaimed by the evangelist of his day, who were looking to bring everyone into the fold through a method touted as salvation. And during the period of transcendentalism in the Unitarian Church, led by such clergy and academic scholars as Ralph Waldo Emerson, a new turn was taking, advising the power individuals have in the ability to reason out what one believes based on one's own history and one's own experience. This even means if one chooses to remain in a community with others and dismiss the existence of God altogether, then one is exercising his or her own truth. And that is supported in the Unitarian principle of merit. But what of this Jesus that we as Unitarian Universalists believe in? What of this Jesus that even atheists and Buddhists and spiritualists can say they can pick apart and find commonalities in? In UU, we can look at the mysterious and little-known life that Jesus lived and celebrate the teachings of loving one another despite differences, of giving to the poor, of taking care of one another, of living in true harmony. Those are the basics. In UU, we do not get into the intricate matters of salvation or if there is a heaven or a hell, as many in the Christian faith may ponder. In UU, we cling to these teachings that have been handed down to us of a very humanist Jesus who walked this earth and just wanted to teach people that we can all coexist together, even if we are different from one another. All we have to do is turn our attention to the story of the Good Samaritan and see that is the ultimate teaching of Jesus about coexisting with those of differing faiths and religious views. Jesus, following the law of his people, instructed his followers to love your neighbor as yourself. But then he upped the ante by telling the story of the Good Samaritan in his society. The Samaritans were the social outcast, yet there was a parable in which the social outcast was a better neighbor to a man in need than the community and religious leaders who didn't want to get involved. The message is simple. Our neighbors are not just the people who look like us, act like us, or enjoy as much or as little social prestige as we do. 2,000 years later, the world has become a global village, and many people find their neighbors, literally as well as figuratively, include people of different nationalities, different ethnicities, and increasingly of different faiths. This is a message that lives today. This is a message that is taught in humanism, in Judaism, Buddhism, paganism. Excuse me. It is a message taught in Unitarian Universalism because we know that the Jesus of our understanding did not wish to create a new religion. He was a Jew who challenged the minds of the old guard and taught that there is a new way of believing. And I believe that is what has happened in Unitarian Universalism. We are continuously being challenged, and we are ever evolving in mind, heart, and spirit as a people of a unique faith made up of many paths. When I was a teen growing up in the Episcopal Church, I became quite close to a priest, the late Father Croft, who served as a true father figure to me. He introduced me to teachings of Thomas Merton. Merton was a Catholic monk who also commingled Zen Buddhism with his Christian beliefs. To many it was an outrage, and to this day Merton has yet to be canonized a saint in the Catholic faith because he forged two paths of thought into one path for himself. What Merton did for many in the 1950s and 1960s excuse me, was provide permission that one could still have this belief in Jesus, however mystical, however divine, or however not divine, and also practice the philosophies of Buddhism. Merton was the first voice that showed me a gate of reasoning out that I too can believe in more than one teaching. In many ways, excuse me, let me get a cup of water. In many ways, this is what our forefathers and mothers in both Unitarian and Universalism worked hard to create for us, a faith that can bridge belief with reason, regardless of what belief looks like to you or to me, or how we arrive at those particular places. In his small booklet titled 100 Questions That Non-Members Ask About Unitarian Universalism, John Squiers answers the following question: do Unitarian Universalists believe in Jesus? His answer: we do not believe that Jesus Christ was born of a virgin, performed miracles, and was resurrected from death. We do admire and respect the way he lived, the power of his love, the force of his example, and his values. Most UUs regard Jesus as one of several important moral and ethical teachers who have shown humans how to live a life of love, service, and compassion. Though some may question whether Jesus was an actual historical figure, we believe his teachings are of significant moral value. So we can agree that many teachings introduced to a small section of the world over 2,000 years ago by Jewish men still hold value today. We may disagree with how different individuals or groups or churches carry out those messages. We may even argue that some may have twisted the words somewhat for their own personal gain. But what I would argue to you as UUs, or those of you thinking about becoming part of the UUA or here at Pathways, don't base what you think of Jesus because of your feelings or thoughts or distaste toward particular Christians or particular Christian groups. I would encourage you to understand what it is we believe about Jesus, this Unitarian Universalist Jesus, whose words are ever present in our 7 principles, in our 6 sources, and that which was incorporated in the 5 smooth stones of religious liberalism. I encourage each of you, regardless of your personal path, to embrace your Unitarian Universalism and see that we as a people of faith, a faith that is being recognized now as a world religion, believe in many things, many truths, and celebrate many teachers and figures throughout history. As we near the close in our calendar year, I want to remind each of us here that the name of this congregation is Pathways. The name given to this congregation by the early members was so that we could embrace unique paths, together every Sunday to celebrate what we refer to as common ground. We need to be comfortable with all forms of religious language. It is okay if God or Jesus is okay. People who welcome complexity, challenged by belief, and who openly welcome each and every. We may have a large gathering of humanists in our congregation, of Buddhists in our congregation, but that is not who we are. We may have a growing community of spiritualists, mystics, and pagans in our congregation, but that is not who we are. Who we are is Unitarian Universalists, a faith that welcomes everyone, and by saying such, we each have a responsibility to uphold the value of all that We each have a responsibility to uphold the value that all of us belong here, even when we may have different beliefs from one another. One person's belief is not more important than another's. No one has the right to dismiss one's personal belief. To do so is to go against the true teachings of Unitarian Universalism. So I close with these words from the Unitarian Universalist Jesus, who said, "Love your neighbor as yourself. Respect each person as you would like to be respected. Respect each belief as you would like to have your belief respected. And do so with the third principle of the UU faith in mind, which reads, we accept one another and encourage each in spiritual growth in our congregations. Here, everyone is welcome. Here, everyone matters. Here, everyone's beliefs are valued. This is who we are at Pathways." Thank you.
Thank you, Thomas. As we have received, so we are asked to give. Please use the offering envelopes provided. Green envelopes are for pledges or gifts to Pathways. Gold envelopes are for donations to our outreach partner. Our outreach partner for October, November, and December is Meals on Wheels of Tarrant County. We will now receive the offering. Thank you for your generous gifts, kindly and freely given this morning and electronically or by mail throughout the month to support this congregation and our outreach efforts. Your offering is truly appreciated. Running. Today we want to recognize the members of the care team. The leader of the wonderful group is Ruby Hill, and she is surrounded by these awesome people. Carol Harvey, Becky McBurney, Loie Ruskowski, Ellen Davis, Nancy Miller, Barbara Spencer, Mary McMahon, Franklin Drigo, Laura Lee Bratcher, and Richard Marshall. Thank you, care team, for all the work you do. Volunteers are the lifeblood of Pathways. Thanks to all who have stepped up to give their time and talent. Do you have PPTS and K? PPTS and K is PowerPoint Skills and Knowledge. And if you have it, we want you to join our Sunday service creative team. You'll be filled with accomplishment as the service you create in PowerPoint is projected to the congregation on Sunday morning. Your ears will be filled with joy as you hear the worship leader reading the words you created in the Word document that accompanies the PowerPoint presentation. When you join our team, we will get you up to speed on how things get done during the week to give our Pathways congregation a beautiful visual accompaniment to the worship service. Your involvement would be creating only one service a month. Be a creative volunteer who makes Pathways the best lay-led UU community in all of Texas. Don't remain silent. Let us know who you are. Contact Marty Kismersky, Sandy Moore, or Marge Stockton today. The e-newsletter team needs 2 people to replace 2 who have served for many years and now need a well-deserved break. It is a rewarding team to be on. The 4 members take turns editing the newsletter for 2 weeks out of every 8. It is a streamlined, easy-to-learn process, and it's rewarding to see your work help everyone keep up to date. Besides that, you learn much more about what is happening, when and who is doing what. If you are interested in joining this team, contact Becky McBurney. In December, instead of reading a book together, the Pathways Women's Book Group will party. We'll be having a potluck lunch, have a white elephant-style book exchange, and select our reading list for 2020. The party takes place on Thursday, December 19th at noon at the home of Pat Day. If you have not attended a book group before but are interested, come join us. See details in your weekly newsletter or speak with Pat, and I don't think she's here today. We hope each of you, on your individual path through the joys and questions of life, found some common ground with your fellow travelers at Pathways here today. As Thomas extinguishes our chalice flame, let us join in these words by Martha Munson. We extinguish the chalice here that it might glow gently in our hearts. May it light your path as you leave this place. May it guide your way until we are together again. To all our first-time visitors, if you'd like to learn more about Pathways, stay around after worship, have some coffee and snacks, and talks with us. We'd love to meet you. Be sure to share your contact information with us at our welcome table in the foyer. If you like, sign up on our website for our weekly e-newsletter to be informed of events coming up at Pathways. There are meetings and events here at Pathways throughout the week. Here are just a few along with other announcements. For our full lineup, see Pathways Weekly or the events calendar on our website, pathwaysuu.org. Also take home the order of service sheet on your chairs because it has dates of upcoming events and announcement slides. And we didn't have one today. So. Imagine a family of 6 having only one roll of toilet paper to use for a whole week. Imagine being a woman who cannot afford groceries for her family. Excuse me. And therefore, she doesn't have a spare dime to buy sanitary napkins either. NEED, Northeast Emergency Distribution, provides food and personal hygiene products to families in need. Food is often donated from many sources because food has expiration dates, so grocers donate food items. But toilet paper doesn't have an expiration date, so NEED never has enough to give families. We can help. If you're able to bring toilet paper, sanitary napkins, Tampax, shampoo, toothpaste, deodorant, dishwashing soap, laundry detergent, etc. next Sunday, and let's fill that red wagon with these essential items. Also, if you're able to work a need shift on Friday, December 27th, please tell Stan Roskowski today. Did you see the Pathways Arts Collaborative annual holiday boutique items today?
Yes, I did. In the old coffee room.
Yeah. Here's your chance to buy something handmade by the Arts Collaborative and get your holiday shopping done. We will also be selling tickets for our 3rd annual quilt raffle. Ooh, sorry. The quilt was handmade and donated by Valerie Campbell and will be raffled on December 13th. The boutique will be open today and next Sunday from 9:15 to 10 and 11 to 11:30. All money from the sale goes directly to Pathways. If you're considering becoming a member of Pathways or would just like to know more about Pathways and UU, come to our Inquirers class on December 15th at 11:30. This one-time class lasts about an hour, is offered several times throughout the year, and is required for membership. If you can't make this class, another will be offered soon. Please contact Kimala Ledbetter if interested. After we break for coffee and conversation, we continue with our adult discussion groups. Harried Reasoners, our humanist group, meets in the sanctuary. They will discuss cryptocurrency and its impact on our world. On my path, we'll meet upstairs in the loft. This is a group for adults to celebrate and deepen their individual spiritual journey. It is open to all seekers from any path and is a safe place to speak your truth in a circle of trust. Reading the Bible again for the first time, book group will meet in classroom number 2 for those who are registered. Unity will meet in the lobby at 12:30. Visitors and newcomers are welcome to encouraged to attend any of these adult discussion groups. Parents, please pick up your children from the nursery and RE immediately after Common Ground so that all ages can share in the fellowship and food. The nursery will reopen at 11:30 for the adult discussion groups. And now, please stand as you are willing and able and join the Come As You Are choir in singing our closing hymn, The Beauty of the Earth.
Our benediction today is written by Eric Williams. Blessed is the path on which you travel. Blessed is the body that carries you upon it. Blessed is your heart that has heard the call. Blessed is your mind that discerns the way. Blessed is the gift you will receive by going. Truly blessed is the gift you will become on the journey. And now in closing, may you be filled with the discernment that the Rabbi Jesus experienced in the desert, the happiness that the Lord Buddha experienced in the forest, the exuberance that the Prophet Muhammad experienced on the mountain. Let us go forth in peace. Namaste, shalom, and blessed be.